Hello, hello, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. Today, I decided to come outside on my porch because I'm a little sick of being inside. So there's there's that. And two, it's such a beautiful day here, and I kind of wanted to just kind of soak it in. It's Sunday that I'm recording this, so for those who celebrate Easter, happy Easter if that's your thing. You're going to hear cars going by because I live at the very end of my subdivision, and there's supposed to be a wall to keep the noise down, but apparently, if you hear the cars, that's not happening. But I didn't care, I wanted to come outside anyway. So I wanted to talk a little bit about whimsy and mysticism and why it's important to have that in your life. So when I speak of whimsy and mysticism, I'm talking about everything from, to glitter and sparkles and, scented candles and bath bombs and mysticism, everything from, putting out water on a full moon to wearing certain crystals on your person or putting crystals under your bed and observing certain days for certain reasons and recognizing certain deities and all of that sort of stuff. That's the mysticism. The funny thing about it is a lot of people already actively experience, intentionally experience mysticism in their life. The whimsy is a little triggering for some because that's for a lot of us grown-ups, we'll call that playing make-believe. I don't agree, obviously. I think it's important to keep a little bit of that make believe energy. Um, if you want to create, if you want to be any sort of type of creative, or if you just want to have changes in your life, if you just want to make moves in your life, if you don't like your current situation, it would kind of behoove you to have more whimsy and to be open to changes instead of thinking life is all about challenges and things like that. So stay with me now. So I notice right now with COVID-19 going, strong, a lot of us are, it's bringing out various sides of people. It's like stages of grief or something. Some people are rising to the occasion. You see people, set up little car parades for little kids' birthdays and, standing outside of a window of a nursing home with signs to, encourage and just show that they're there for people who are in nursing homes. So you'll see things like that and people donating and giving, food and masks and whatever in their time as best as they can without, with still keeping social distancing. And I think that's awesome. And for the rest of us who maybe are not in a position to do all those things, a lot of us are just staying in the house like we're supposed to. And that's really the biggest thing or action you can do to really advance forward. But not but and along with this, I'm also seeing this situation where the more information we find out about who this virus affects and where and all that sort of stuff, there is um, fear, and there's a lot of fear. Obviously, I'm not condemning anyone for having that fear. However, I'm all about managing fear. I don't think fear is supposed to ever go away. I don't think that's the purpose of it. But I do believe that it's something that we need to be able to tame. We don't want to let the fear rule us and, we're out of control or we're being controlled by our fears, making decisions based on fear. And if you're ever in a situation where you are making a choice for your life, for yourself, or even just the words that you speak out of fear, it usually is something you wish you could take back later because it's not, rational. There's a time and place for everything, and right now this is not a time to be in a place of fear and to react accordingly. I think for some of us who are a little bit more in tune with the whimsy in our lives, who are a little bit more in tune with, um, you know, just the fun of nature, seeing a pretty flower, and having certain color schemes in our home or wearing certain colors on a certain day. Um, you know, who are, we find value in that. We have fun with it. It's not to be taken seriously, but we have fun with it. I think we have a better handle at handling and managing our fear. Um, there's this idea that you you aren't connected to the real world or reality um, when you practice. I guess if you say you're a witch or you practice magic, you're technically not really connected, and you really don't understand the real world. As today, people are celebrating a holiday, majority of our country, even those who don't even go to a church or anything like that, but majority of the country identifies as Christian. They truly, literally believe in the interpretation of what is, that makes up this holiday. And this is not to bash people and their beliefs or anything like that. It's more that it's one of those moments you want to say, it's funny how, but it's funny how. um, Whimsy and mysticism is, childish and put to the side, and it's time to grow up. Um, but those beliefs you were taught as a child are supposed to stay with you and are supposed to actually develop an even deeper understanding. Um, One of the things that I pride myself on is I never force anything on my children. Um, Part of me wrestles with, should I have exposed them even more? I mean, I think I did the best I could. Ultimately, it's up to them, and it's their decision on how they're gonna, practice spirituality, or if they will at all. I would hope they would, but it's ultimately up to them on how they handle that. Um, I do encourage whimsy, though. I've always encouraged it with my children. I was didn't want to stamp that out of them in the name of growing up, and I think we did a pretty good balance um, as parents, my husband and I, on doing that. He was definitely someone, especially when it came to my son, he didn't want him to have his head in the clouds too much. Yeah, because there's some practical matters of living, especially as a young man, that he has to contend with. Um, we did our best. We did our best with that. I think they're pretty well off, and mentally, physically, and so forth, from having that childhood experience.
I know. Look how insane and small the places are. And that's two places.
So those are people riding on a bike, riding by. If you heard that, so for it to be self isolation right now in quarantine, there sure are a lot of cars on the road, and there sure, well, it's not. I wouldn't say a lot of people, but there sure are a lot of cars on the road. I'm gonna just say that. But I mind my business. I'm on my porch. I mind my business. Anyway, uh, yeah, I think it's worth having that in your life. I think it's worth, lighting candles and believing that, when you light that candle, as that candle burns, the energy that you're wishing for releases into the ethers, into the universe. I think it's worth believing that if I have a certain crystal on my person, I feel more confident, I feel more protected. I think it's worth believing that if I take natural elements of the earth and I use them with a specific intention, like salt, for instance, and I take salt and I sprinkle around the perimeters of my home, that it means something. It means my home is protected with whatever the intention I put into it to be protected from. Yeah, I think it's worth believing those things. Uh, Holding on to that at times like this is really important. I know it's definitely important for me, and I've talked about this in other videos. But having a more deeper connection to spirit and just to your beliefs, it matters right now. It really does. And if you struggle with that, you kind of just gonna have to jump in. Stop, researching and just reading. So loud. Stop researching and reading, and maybe even taking notes, and maybe go over your notes, or go or and recall what you've been reading and see where it fits in your life. Start to make it make sense to you. That would be my suggestion. Um, but in order for you to do that, you've got to invite that whimsy, and the mysticism of the unknown, and the not knowing everything, and all the other words, the occult, metaphysical. I cannot believe how loud it is here. Anyway, you you're gonna want to do that because I know for me that's something that I struggled with a little bit because I'm very practical minded. That's why my witchcraft is from a practical point of view, and you can merge both of those things. But in order to do that, I'm not asking you to completely lose your mind with this and not believe what's sitting in front of your face. I'm just saying, along with what's in front of your face, do you see anything else? Do you see the orbs flying around? Um, do you see something off into the distance? Where there's no wind but something's moving. There's a little bit more to the picture than just that one thing that you're focusing on. So that's what I mean about the whimsical side of it all and the mysticism. The whimsy is even recognizing it and believing it, and the mysticism, in my mind, is realizing you may not fully understand it, um, but maybe you can find out. Maybe you can connect with it and learn a little bit more. So, those are my thoughts on whimsy and mysticism. Hopefully, it inspires you if you're right now kind of feeling really heavy with all the information that's, you know, being shared right now about COVID 19 and just, the self quarantining. If just the concept of self quarantining right now, just this everyday experience is becoming heavy for you. Try to look as much as you can for the whimsy, even in the monotony of the day to day. It may not seem like much, but it really can be. And like I said, do the shower rituals where, you see the negative energy, the heaviness washing down the drain. As you clean your kitchens, because most of us are in the house all the time, so you're going to have to clean that kitchen, right? As you clean the kitchen, maybe sage the area in your kitchen once you're done, or light an incense, maybe not even sage. So why don't you just light a piece, something that you find peaceful, or something you associate with cleansing, clean. It might be a lemon scent or something like that. Burn your essential oils. I've been doing that. I had been doing a mixture of like lemongrass, lemon, and lime with a touch of sweet orange, a more citrusy scent. Oh, it smelled so clean. It smelled to me refreshing and light and airy, and it kind of alleviated the mood that was brooding. I feel like just by turning on the TV or reading pretty much anything or really talking to anybody. And I also burned the Palo Santo that I had, so that was a nice combination of scents in the home, and it really gave good energy. So maybe do that, and definitely in your bathrooms and things like that. You maybe put some good scents in there if you can. Light an incense. You don't have to do it all the time, but maybe once a day or every other day, just to kind of give it that energy. Because I believe all these senses, sight, smell, touch, hearing, all of that can be activated to something more spiritual. You know, but you got to invite that whimsy in a little bit. And finally, um, I'm doing pretty okay for the most part. I'm having days where I'm bored, silly, um, and even things I should be doing that would be considered productive. I don't feel like doing it because honestly, it's the monotony of everything of not being able to go anywhere except to the supermarket. And we're only eating so much food. I'm not eating meat anymore. I'm officially at this stage probably a pescatarian because I'm willing to do seafood, fish, stuff like that, but not all the time. Sometimes, not all the time. But mostly, yeah, plant based. That's how I'm eating. I don't eat eggs either. I have had some cake and pastries or whatever a few times, and I know there's probably egg in it, but that's very few far in between. And the whole purpose of me eating this way is more for a health point of view. So I try not to eat too much cake to begin with. Trying to keep all these numbers down, and not have a really bad exam or find out some results that I don't want to hear. So I actually go back in June to get my results overall about the cholesterol, about the liver enzymes, and all that sort of stuff. I go back in June to get tested. So I have it marked on my calendar, and I'm doing all I can, to be healthy and not leave myself open. And I think that's all of us. That's all we can do is just do our best, right? So part of me doing my best is, remembering the whimsy, remembering the mysticism. I live in my home. If you see the color, it's a darker red. This is the whimsy that I wanted in my life. I wanted it's a cottage. It's basically a cottage home. It's like farmhouse style. So this is what I wanted. This is what I've wanted for some time, and I finally have it. But I was willing to kind of suspend my practical mind and really take the time to envision myself in a place like this. And I live here now, and I'm happy to do so. Very grateful. Um, Cobblestone, we can't say what cobblestone like, because it's new construct. They didn't really do real cobblestones, but it's the gives you the idea of cobblestones for the porch and the driveway and all that stuff, the walkway. I like it. It fits my aesthetic. It fits my cottage witchery style. So, um, I'm a witch who actually gets to live in a cottage. A cottage witch who gets to live in a cottage. So, that whimsy is very present in my life. Trust me. Even when I'm cleaning up, even when I'm doing the dirty jobs I don't want to do around the house, that I don't feel like doing. By the way, dirty jobs to me could just be loading the dishwasher at this point. But anyway, yeah, so I just kind of wanted to just, like I said, just contribute a little bit to the energy here on YouTube and keep everything light, airy, and inspiring. I don't think this is a time to really go into much on, I mean, not that I really talk about a lot of heavy topics, but, I'd like to help you keep it light. So the best way is to just whimsical mysticism. That's how I sum it up. All right. So thanks for watching. This is Mika Luke Taken. Go ahead and like the video, please, if you've enjoyed the content. Again, forgive me for the cars going by. I did not expect this much noise when I started recording. And if you have not subscribed, please do. I'd really appreciate it. Again, if you have, I also appreciate you for that as well. All right. Thanks.